Chapter 1. That's assault, isn't it? Destiny. Present day. London, England. The place hummed with excitement. The studio audience screamed on command, prompted by the large flashing lights above the stage that told them to laugh, to clap, and to awe at the right moments. The announcer was in a box, the microphone in front of his face just outside the wings of the stage. He gave me a small wink and a gunpoint salute, which I returned. Intro music played as Rupert, the night show host, sat behind his fake mahogany desk, twiddling a fountain pen in his hand.
All right, let's introduce the next guest. We're very excited about this one.
His estuary accent garbled his words, and I was nervous about understanding him. The guy in the sound booth brought his lips to the microphone and, in that clear, enunciated British voice, started listing off my accolades.
After stunning the globe with her Ms. Idol win 5 years ago, this guest has just completed a worldwide sold-out tour. Her chart-topping hits include Make-A-Wish and Bring It Baby. She was recently named the world's sexiest woman and the richest 30 under 30, Ms. Destiny Barkada.
I walked out in my silky gold dress, waving to the audience. My lightly curled hair bounced about my shoulders, down to my waist, falling forward over my breasts, which hid and emphasized them in equal measure. In the middle of the floor, I twisted on one foot to do a slow-motion turn. It was a crowd-pleasing trick that ended with a smiling, hand-on-the-hip pose. The audience screamed, and I gave a small finger wave. I sashayed to the little couch and crossed my legs, leaning with my elbow on the armrest. I gave Rupert my biggest, brightest beauty queen smile. His makeup was caking. There was a small grease stain on his shirt, obscured by his too-wide tie. I wondered if it was a gimmick or if he really woke up that morning and thought, yeah, this looks good.
Destiny, Destiny, Destiny.
Rupert tapped his pen, twisting in his chair as he looked at me. The logo of his show was emblazoned across the front of his fake business desk. He even had a prop desk lamp, the kind with a bent neck and a small green dome over a light bulb. Not that it was ever used, since 300-watt stage lights surrounded him like a halo. They were strategically placed to ensure that his double chin was in shadow.
That's an unusual name, isn't it?
His accent was grating my last nerve. Kuya Jareth had a British accent, but it didn't make my skin crawl. Somehow, Rupert's did. Maybe it was because he looked like Michael Dryden. I don't know, Rupert. I sweetly shrugged and leaned back in my chair. I've lived with it all my life. How does a guy called Rupert have the audacity to think my name is weird? He put on that plastic, smarmy smile, the kind that made my skin crawl with its calculated tightness.
Well, Rupert is a name most people recognize, but Destiny...
He tilted his head and shrugged, as if I should know what he was getting at. But I chose not to. My doe-eyed innocence shone through as I waited for him to finish whatever asinine thing he was thinking. He finally gave in to the dead air between us, knowing that the awkwardness would reflect on him, not me.
Well, I've never met anyone else called Destiny.
I've never met anyone called Rupert. There was a fake chipperness in my voice because I knew the score. We couldn't look hostile to one another, even though we absolutely were. I had to look sweet, jovial, ready to chat. Miss World Idol, perfect in every possible way, a woman of complete virtue who happened to look objectifiable in a swimsuit. There was a small polite laugh from the audience. He must have called it a loss because he coughed as he changed the subject.
So, I'd be remiss if I didn't ask about these headlines. The ones that led to you being nicknamed Diva Difficult. About...
Don't ever let a late-night show fool you. It's not just two people having a pleasant conversation. It is a ping-pong of one person trying to get more from their interviewee than they want to give. Us, their guests, then battle to make sure we keep our boundaries intact. We're a commodity, and they are selling us to the public. Blood is always more entertaining than sunshine. Me throwing a brick at the lens of a paparazzi? Again, I batted my eyelashes.
That journalist is now suing you for assault. That's a very serious crime, young lady.
Fuck your young lady bullshit, you pervert. So is sexual assault. My smile felt tight as I forced my cheekbones back to ensure that I looked happy and unbothered, as if that wasn't a complete fucking joke. In the state of New York, upskirting is a Class E felony and comes with 1 to 4 years in prison. I blinked. He blinked. Seconds ticked by. He opened his mouth to speak, but I beat him to the punch. Second-time offenders like this man could receive more punishment, but of course he wasn't convicted at the time. Why is that? I knew the answer to my own question, but I wanted to see this prick bluster.
Oh, come on, Destiny.
Rupert almost looked annoyed at me. It was unusual since his perfectly curated image didn't include such negative emotions.
He was just doing his job.
The answer to my previous question, I interrupted, was because he committed his crimes, and I certainly do call them crimes, if not a legal one, certainly a moral one, in London, not far from here. That kind of harassment is okay, legally speaking, on this side of the pond, right? Do you think it's okay? Was I imagining it, or was Rupert turning red? You're right, I said as if I was conceding. I nodded and frowned, looking askance as if I was chastened. His job was to lie on his back so he could get a picture up my skirt. There was a slight gasp from the audience. I'm pretty sure that wasn't prompted by the big lights that flashed over the stage. How much did those pictures sell for last time? This was a technique I had learned a long time ago. Don't ever assert yourself. No, that wasn't feminine or sweet, not princessy enough for the general public. But ask a question instead. Do you remember? Of course he remembered, but he denied it, just as I suspected.
I don't.
The tabloids bought those photos for £1 million the day I turned 18. I let the smile just melt away now, because I was caring less and less about this perfect pop girl image. 24 hours before, it would have been illegal to do that. I had just gotten out of a dinner with my family.
Well, let's talk about that. Your brother was arrested.
Yes, because one of them tried to stick his lens up my skirt, literally. Not just aiming them up, but stick an object between my legs to, I caught a look at Jareth at the wings of the stage, clenching his fist. Was it because of the memory, or because I was turning this into a hostile interview? Exploit me, right? Is that the right word, Rupert? My English is not so good, so maybe you can help me. You're familiar with exploiting women, right? He balked and went pale. That's right, fucker. I know what up-and-coming actresses have to do to get onto your show, you pathetic, disgusting piece of shit. The legalese is too complicated for my little brain, but... I conjured that smile again, because I had to, before Jareth's head exploded. That's called assault and battery, right? Sexual assault and battery in America? I don't know about here, after all. It's just so confusing. It wasn't confusing. My brother rearranged the paparazzo's face, and the charges were dismissed because the journalist deserved worse. He deserved to be killed. Any judge or barrister knew he was a lost cause. I was sorry we pulled Jorik off of him, but we didn't want him put away for murder. Not when he was on the brink of his first championship.
Well, that's completely different from what happened a few days ago.
It's less exploitative, I suppose, now that I'm wise and experienced at 23 years old. I was making him look like an ass. I told Jareth not to make me do this, but he insisted. Now look at what was happening.
That's not what I'm saying. You're trying to put words in my mouth.
Am I? Blink, blink, blink the little doe eyes and make him think you hadn't meant it that way. How so? Questions. Ask questions. Have them explain.
Let's move on.
He cleared his throat, giving a small finger gesture like scissors to indicate to his team to cut the previous interaction from the live broadcast.
You're from the Philippines, right?
I let my smile linger, the question hanging in the air between us. He knew I was from the Philippines. Everyone did. That's why I was Miss Philippine Idol before I was Miss World Idol.
They call you the Taylor Swift of the Philippines. How do you feel about that?
Like the media is too lazy to realize that two women who work in roughly the same genre of music could possibly have their own personalities. The public imagination could only handle one of every item, and having to consider that pop stars aren't all a monolith would just be too difficult to understand for the two working brain cells of the collective Hollywood imagination. Not to mention, they were basically dismissing my culture, my heritage, and the extensive Filipino music industry that was at my back. But I can't say any of that, so instead I smiled. Well, Taylor Swift is an amazing artist and performer. I'm grateful for the comparison. Without missing a beat, he jumped on my apparent cooperation.
Is it true that you all eat with your hands?
He chuckled, and the audience laughed along. There it was again, that deafening pulse, the one that beat like a drum in my ears and pulled my lips back in a tight smile as I breathed through my nose. Why? Do you eat with your feet? More awkward laughter. I watched you eat potato chips with your hands backstage. That's what made the grease stain on your shirt. I pointed my eyes at the dark finger stain on his purple blouse, all the while keeping my smile. Is that what you mean? Smiling is strength. Smiling is the game. Rupert was livid, and I loved it. He looked at me like he had just caught me murdering his favorite pet. All the while, I smiled like I was too fucking stupid to know that I had been unbelievably rude.
Let's talk about your new album.
He cleared his throat, tapping his pen, but he couldn't put that mask back on. He wasn't like me. He wasn't used to being challenged at every step. His path had been paved for him. It didn't mean that he wasn't a hard-working man. He was. Of course, no one got to that level without a bit of elbow grease. But the industry is littered with hard-working talent. He got to where he was by being friends with other influential, disgusting men who decided to be disgusting together. A congress of disgusting cretins, if you will.
It's been a long time coming, hasn't it?
Then he smiled, and I knew I had to brace for impact.
It's been 3 years since your last album. That's practically a lifetime in music years, no?
The rest of the interview went by without incident. He asked for a canned line, and I gave the PR response. The audience laughed in the right spaces, and I knew that all of the hostility of before would be cut from what aired for the public. Still, I knew that the hidden phones, the red blinking lights, and the sleight of hand from beneath blazers and jackets would release tiny clips for the internet. Rupert's network would get litigious and have them taken down. But people would know. People would see. One good scandal, and they'd look at this incident as the moment his empire started going down. And I was here for it. Or maybe it would be my empire that crumbled when people found out my secret. My brother was quiet when I came off stage. We walked back to the dressing room in silence. He said nothing, even though I could feel his wrath. He was waiting until we were alone. He might even wait until we were in the car to read me the riot act, so I relished the quiet. Rupert was screaming up a storm outside. I could hear it, even through the closed dressing room door.
Who the fuck does that cunt think she is? Who put her on the fucking schedule? I want their asses handed to me on a fucking platter.
Oh no, I don't think I'll be invited back. Whatever will I do? I batted my eyelashes at a less than amused Jareth. Whatever. Nothing I did ever pleased him, no matter how hard I tried. It was best that I didn't even bother. Then I saw a glass of water on my desk. Beneath the glass was a single note. The message was written in red. "Shut your mouth or die, bitch," I read out loud. Jareth clenched his fists, and I could feel the proverbial steam coming out of his ears as he stepped beside me, looking down at the scrawl. I tried to laugh. They get points for brevity, I guess.
You're not funny, Jess.
Jareth said through clenched teeth. I'm not trying to be. I totally was trying to be. Anything to keep him from being mad. Anything to keep Jareth from looking at me like I was the Barkada that would bring down our rising star. Please don't think that this is my fault. Brevity is the #1 sign of effective communication.
Destiny.
My name was a warning, so I clamped my mouth shut. He brought his black phone to his ear. Without any further word to me, he called in the rent-a-cops of the venue. I didn't dare move as they came in with their big, tight t-shirts, their occupation written in reflective white lettering on their chest and back. Security. Then there were cops. All the while, I didn't move. I just waited, staring at the words. Shut your mouth or die, bitch. Don't threaten me with a good time, asshole.